this video, we are going to talk about looping in C++. Yeah? And loop is very important in C++, especially if you need to do something repeatedly, right? For instance, if you, let's say, you have this star, you want to print this star, and you want to print this, a few times, right? Let's say 10 times. So what you if you don't have this loop concept, so what you're going to do is actually to repeat this instruction 10 times. For instance, if you want to display this for 10 times. So this is the reason why in C++ we have the concept of loop. Yeah. There are three types of loop in C++. The first one is for, and the second one is while, and the third one is do while. So we are going to look into these three one by one in this video, right? So let's have a look at the first one, which is for loop. I will explain that using this flowchart, and then we will continue with the code after this. All right. For the loop, so this statement is actually equivalent to this, whatever that you want to do as the instructions. For instance, you want to print out this star, so the statement here is actually this cout star, and you want to do this for 10 times, so you need to make sure that this loop will be 10 times, so the condition will be true for 10 times. Yeah, so the condition is just like, in if else, for instance, you have the condition. It is similar like that, and this condition will be checked, and this loop will be continue while this condition is still true, right? And then it will go out from the loop if the conditions is false, and then it will continue with the rest of the code. So the conditions, and also you have this increment or decrement, because you need to make sure that these conditions to be false at certain point, so otherwise it will become infinite loop, right? So in program, right, so let's say you want to repeat this for 10 times. Yeah, so you have to initialize. So for the for loop, you have to use for, and then you have to initialize, and then use this semicolon, and then conditions, and then semicolon, and then you have this increment or decrement, which is C++ or X++ or plus X, or X minus minus, or minus minus X, right? And then you do the statements. Yeah? You can use the curly bracket if you have more than one statement. Let's see, that's statement 1. Then you have statement 2. Okay. And we have to close the loop. Well, maybe easier for you to put it back. Alright, so let's have a look at with the real code. So you have to initialize, like for. So what is the initialization? So normally, if you, let's say you want to use an integer, this is what we normally use. Yeah? X, let's say you initialize as 1, and as I mentioned just now, the condition is actually a situation where you have to check whether it is true or it is false. Yeah? So it will do this for, it will do the loop while the condition is true. So you need to check, let's say X, you want to make, you want to create 10 times loop. So while this X is equal to 1, so X less than, if this one is less than 10, so x is equal to 1, and while x is still below or smaller than 10, the loop will be always true. So in this case, if you make it like less than 10, it will become like how many times? Until 9. Yeah, 9 is less than 10, it's still true, but 10 less than 10 will be false. So 10 will be excluded. So in this case, the number of loops probably could just 9 times. So you have to use, or you have to include 10. Yeah? And then you need to increase x with 1, because you need to make sure that this x will be increased by 1, so that it will check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And then when x is equal to 10, it is still true. And if x is equal to 11 less than or equal to 10 will be false, and it will go out from the loop. So in this case, this for will actually print this star for 10 times. Yeah, I make this as a comment first. All right. When I run that, okay, this is the star that I based on this code, it will print this for 10 times. So this is actually for loops. Yeah. So let's have a look at the second one. The second one is actually a while loop. This while, well, actually it is more or less the same with for, right? But in this case, we're going to use while, and you can use while with the conditions here. This is also similar to for, which is the condition. Yeah. But then in this case, for while, you can use like integer checking like this in for, but also you can use like character, if that character is equal to a, x, y, and so on, right? So in general, right, for while, right, you have to use the word while, right, and then you have to check the conditions, just like for, but in this case, if this is the conditions, that expression is actually conditions, just like in for. So while these conditions or that expression is true, it will do whatever inside the body, which is the statement, like see out the star just now, and then it will do this while it is still true. And then if the conditions is false, and then it will go out from this loop, will go out from the while loop, and then it will do the rest of the code. Yeah. So in this case, you have to do the statement. Yeah. Statement 1. So you have to use curly bracket if you have more than one statement. All right. And definitely you have to initialize first. Initialized. You have to do the initialization here, yeah. So initialization, you have to do there. So it is just like for while, you have to put this initialization here, just like for. Then you're gonna have your condition here, and just like for, yeah. For also they have the conditions here, and then the increments, yeah. So you can put the increment inside the while, because you need to make sure that this condition will be false. But I mentioned just now, for this for we normally use integer because it's easier for you to do the counting. Yeah, but for the while you can use character, for instance, because at certain point you need to make sure that this conditions is in false value, yeah, to make sure that you can get out from this while, otherwise it will become infinite loop as well. So let's have a look at the, I will put this in the comment. Alright, just to make it easier for you to see, let me do the coding first. Yeah. So what you will do is the initialization, just like for integer x is equal to 1, and then you have this while. What is the condition? The condition is x is less than or equal to 10, because you want to make sure that this loop will be done 10 times as well. And then what is the statement? Cout, and then you want to print out the star. Alright, and then you have to do the increment like this one, x plus plus. So you, when you see this code, you initialize the x, right, and then this x will be checked whether it is less than or equal to 10, and then you keep increasing the x, and then it will do this, until this is false. Yeah, until this is false, and then it will go out from the while. So I put all this as a comment first, so that we can compile and check the result. Yeah. Alright, so when I check the result, alright, so when I compile this and check the results, alright, so it will also print this out for 10 times, exactly like what is this for doing. Alright, so this is while. So let's have a look at the third one, which is do while. So in this do while, you have to write this do and then the conditional code. So this is actually the statement. Yeah, so you have to do this statement and then check the conditions, right? The conditions, just like for, well, this condition is true, and then it will continue to do the statement, or continue the cout star, for instance, and then it will go out from this for if the conditions is false. So I do the initializations first, and then you have to have this do, and then we start with the bracket, because you're going to have your statement here. So initialize, and then you have your statement 1, and then maybe you have statement 2. Then you have to do this while the conditions is true. Alright. Okay, and then don't forget to put the increment and decrement as well here, because otherwise you will be producing an infinite loop. Yeah, so this is just similar to while just now. You have the initialization, right, and then you have the conditions, but in this case the conditions will be down here, and then the statement, right? This one is while condition, then do this. But this do while is you do this while this is true, right? So let's have a look at the code. We're going to write the same program like the for and also while. Yeah? So initialization is integer is equal to x is equal to 1, and then do, right? So what is a statement is you want to print out the star, and then to do the increment it's x plus plus or plus plus x, both will be giving the same result. And then you have to write while, and then the condition x is equal to or less than or equal to 10, right? And then you put your semicolon, and let me put the comment here. So that you can compile and you will see the result. Yeah. Right. When we run this, right, it will do the same thing, which we can print out 10 stars like this for and also while. So the difference between while and do while is that if you look at the structure, yeah, for while loop, you have to test the condition first, right? So if it is false, and then it will go out, and then it will not do this statement, or in this case, it will not print out the star if this is false. Yeah? But if you look at this do, it will do the statement first before checking. So the difference between while and do while is that the do while will do this statement at least once, yeah, because the checking will be done after that. But for while, for while you have to check first. So the difference between while and do while is you have to check first in while, and you will check later in do while. So that's the reason why in this do while you have a chance to do the statement at least once. Yeah. So basically, if you look at the pattern between for while and do while, right, you must have initialization, you have to have condition, and you probably need this increment or decrement in case if you use integer, or you probably can use any other like character for the conditions in while and do while, as long as you can get the result where the conditions will get false value, right? Similar to if else, for instance, you have nested if else. So in loop you can also have this nested loop. Yeah, you have a loop inside a loop that you can apply this in these three type of loops: for, while, and do while. So just want to give you an example for the for. Yeah, so you're going to do the similar things with while and do while. So this is for instance as an example here, when we try to explain it through flowchart. So you have to initialize as usual, right? So x is equal to 1, and then you have to check the first conditions. If it is true, and then it will go to the the loop inside that loop because it is true. So in that case, it will check another conditions, which is true, and then it will do this statement, and then it will do the increment, and so on, right? So in this case, it will do this while the condition is true. So in fact, you are actually do the initialization as well here, right? After the condition, and it will initialize for the second loop, and it will do this until the condition 2 is false, and then it will go out, and then it will do the condition 1, checking if it is true, and then it will do this loop again for the second time. So let's say if the first conditions will create 10 loops, and then the second condition will create also 10 loops. So actually you are doing these 10 loops for 10 times. So imagine that you want to display this star vertically. You want to have 10 times, and horizontally you want to print it 10 times as well. So you have to print this star in a row 10 times, and then you want to print this row 10 times. So you're gonna have like a star 10 times 10. So let's say you have this 4, integer x is equal to 1, semicolon, x less than or equal to 10, and then you increase x with 1. So what you will get here is actually 10 times this as a row, and then you want to do this, you want to do this 10 times, right? So you have to treat this as a statement inside that loop. So you should have another 4, let's say integer y is equal to 1, and then y less than or equal to 10, and then y plus plus. So this 4, right, is actually under this 4. So it will do this. This will become the statement under this 4. So but this statement is 4. This is what we call as loop inside this loop. So it is a nested loop. So you have to do this 10 times, right? So it will do this 10 times, and then it will repeat that for another 10 times. So you will get 10 times 10, 10 times 10 star. Alright, so if you look at here, it will continue like, it's 10, then continue another 10, continue another 10, and continue another 10 for 10 times. So you'll get this very long star. So how to make sure that it will be in the form of a square box? So in fact, after this print, then you have to bring out the end of the line. So enter. So it will do this, right? And then after that it will do the enter. So if you look at here, actually you have 2 instructions already, 1 and 2. So 2, if you look at this end of instructions, you have actually 2 instructions under these 4, right? So if you run this, you will get the same thing, because you only do this under this 4. So what you're going to do is actually to put that curly bracket just to make sure that these both instructions to be under that 4. You run that again. Alright, so now you have 10 times 10. Yeah, you have 10 of these 10 stars, right? So this is what we call as nested loop. But in this case, the example is for the 4. So how are you going to write this under while? Yeah. So you have the initializations, integer y is equal to 1, right? So we do the first one first, like this one, right? And then while, I think just not to confuse you, we create the loop inside the loop first, which is x. X is less than or equal to 10. Yeah, and then you have to see out the x, see out the star. What else? Maybe you have to do the increment, right? X plus plus. Okay, let me put this. Alright, so this is the first loop, right? So if you run this, you'll get that 10 stop. Then you want to create another loop. Yeah, you want to put this loop inside this loop of y. So integer y is equal to 1, while y less than or equal to 10. But you want to do this. So you want to do this, right? And then, because you want to include this end of line, so you need to make sure that this is all under the first one. Yeah. So this is the bracket. So out of this, you should put CR, and then you close the bracket. Right. So this is actually within this first or second or the while loop, and then you do this for 10 times. Right. So let's have a look at this. Alright, so you are going to yeah, don't forget to increase that y as well, right? Otherwise it will become an infinite loop. Yeah, so you have to increase y plus plus. Yeah. Alright, so you actually print these stars 10 times, just like this 4. So you can write this for a nested loop for 10 times, and you can do that for while as well. So the last one is, how are you going to write this? Using do while. So as usual, you have to use, or you have to create the first loop first, similar to this while and for. Okay? Why? And then you have to do this. You want to print out the star, and then you want to increase that x. Then you have to do that while the x is less than or equal to 10. Yeah. And then you want to do this and then this one goes, so easier for you to read. And then we have another integer y is equal to 1, right? And then you want to do the entire do while, right? Right, you want to do this as a statement, and then right, you have to increase y, right, and you want to make sure that they have enter there, and you close this. This is for y, do while, yeah, and then while y less than or equal to 10. Alright, so you're going to do the entire do while, right, this part, for 10 times, right, and every time you print this 10 times, and it will print this end of line or enter, so that you can print the next 10 star in different row. Alright, so let's let me disable this one first. Alright, let's run the program. Alright, if you look at here, it will do the same thing. It will print out the star 10 times, and then the 10 times for 10 times. Yeah? So this is how we create a nested loop. That you can have more than one nested loop. You can have another loop inside the loop, or inside the loop you can have another loop. Yeah? So this is up to you, and depending on your problem of your program. So I think that's all in this video. Alright, you have learned this for while and do while, and also how to create a nested loop for while and do while. Right, until my next video, bye.